There we go. Just wait for that to kick in.
Okay.
Do. Is YouTube connected yet? It's doing something. There we go. YouTube is connected. We've got Tracy Birch in the live chat. Right, let's just get onto here. Right, we're going to start in a second, guys. People in the live chat. Okay. Here we go. Ladies and gents, welcome to A. Thompson and Other Disappointments, brought to you by Funk27, Discontent Providers, and Global Butterflies, bringing trans and non-binary awareness to the business community. Go to globalbutterflies.com. Ba-da-ba-ba-bow. Ladies and gents, welcome. It's the end of another week. It's Friday night. It's 7:30. It's time to tell your husband or wife, partner, mum or dad to just leave you alone for a bit, because it's all been too much this week and you just need some time and space to process the chaos and hate that was another week existing in the formerly Great Britain. Much has happened in the last few days, and much like your old band's demo tape, all of it bad. None of it redeeming. If it's your first time, jumping on the live stream, hello, welcome. Pull up a pew, roll yourself a fat bifter, crack open a cold one, whatever medicine it is that you self-medicate with to get yourself through this. Also, if you'd like to comment or have your question read out to stand the best chance or priority and all of that, then either jump on the Patreon or the YouTube community, which I'm building, or drop me a little super chat thing. You may have seen them in other live streams. You could just click the 3 dots, you do a super chat. Basically, you put £2 into the kitty, and then I can sort of see it pop up in the live chat, and I'll read it out, and myself and my guest will respond to it accordingly. Anyway, let's get into it. Joining me tonight, ladies and gents, my good friend, Scott Williams. Woo!
Hi.
How you doing, man?
I'm well, thank you very much. How are you?
Good. I've got my my beer on the go. I'm immediately feeling better. As soon as I've had my first taste of liquid patience, I'm feeling good. How's your week been?
I don't drink at home very often.
Oh, well, fuck you. I don't need your judgment, Scott.
I wasn't judging. I was talking about my own personal experience.
This is how you know somebody's like ravished with alcoholism. Is that, yeah, I know that you weren't judging. There was no,
but you just took it all the wrong way.
Yeah. There was no chuntiness to what you were saying, but I just completely like internalized that, and like it's self-judgment. It's like, oh.
It literally wasn't about you.
Yeah.
So vain.
I feel so.
The song is about you.
I feel so attacked. Got to respond defensively.
Yeah. It's Friday night. Of course, you should be having a drink. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I like for veteran listeners, they will know this, but for newbies, I sort of started this podcast as a way to respond to, firstly, like crippling parenthood loneliness of being like removed from my social circles and not being able to get out. So like this was a good way to catch up with people and have a few beers while you do it. But also then in the pandemic, it sort of escalated a little bit. It was like, you know, nobody can go out now. So we're all forced into this sort of, you know, stay in and drink over the internet nightmare with me. So yeah, but you are welcome here also. How's your week been, Scott? What's been going on
It's
your
been
end?
really, really busy because I started a new job, full-time job working in an office. On Monday, I started on Monday. I've been going into the office every day, except for today. They let me work from home today, even though apparently I'm supposed to work there for 3 months before I'm allowed to work from home. But because no one else from the finance team was going to be in, they said, "Well, you might as well work from home." So
Fair.
I worked from home today.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just been a really busy week. I'm trying to get back into the gym again. So I've been to the gym a few times this past week.
Oh, nice.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, I need to lose a little bit of weight. I've put on
I
quite a bit of
disagree.
weight.
I think
I'm,
you're an explosion of hunk. You look strong. You look capable. I think,
I'm getting turned on. You need to stop right now.
It's too early. I mean, I love the fact that it's like
You
it's
said "fuck you" in the first 3 minutes.
I hope that doesn't impact the algorithm. I'll probably get a slap on the wrist again for that. But
Dude, you're already demonetized. What are you talking about?
yeah, I mean, we're sort of joking about it, but I uploaded a video earlier
You
about Liz
kind of
Truss.
are.
Am I? Oh, well, there we go.
I don't know. Though you said I'm joking about it, but it's kind of like you're saying you're joking, but it's kind of true.
Well, it is. Like, I put a thing up about Liz Truss earlier, and I don't think I swore in it, and there wasn't anything like some of my videos, they're like, even if I don't swear, there's like words that are hard words to hear.
Yeah.
Like, and I assume that they get flagged, but there was nothing really. I don't think there was anything like that in there, and it got flagged. And it always fascinates me. I'm like, what could I have said in there? And if I didn't have a life, I would
watched it back and given it another critical view to have a look to see.
I haven't yet because I was in a hurry for the school run, but yeah, I will do later.
Parent of two.
Indeed. Right, shall we? Let's quickly go over some of the pinch points, the pain points of the last week. I'd be interested to get your thoughts and feelings about these.
I'm really excited to do this tonight because yesterday, I was on another podcast that'll be coming out at some point. I don't know when.
You were podcast cheating on me?
I would. Oh my God, you've been podcast cheating on me for fucking years. We talking about right now. This is the second time I've been on here. Super Tansky's been on here about 7 or 8 times.
Yeah.
Jules has been on here more than me.
Jules has been on twice.
Right. So I'm just catching up.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, we're not having that. Listen, yeah. Yes, I cheated on you. Get over it.
Yeah.
I did another podcast yesterday, and we spoke a lot about American politics. But the funny thing was, the most interesting stuff happened here. Yeah. And I wanted to talk about UK politics more than I wanted to talk about any American politics, considering,
yeah,
this was quite the week.
I suppose it's like, it must be a bit weird for you because clearly, to listen to you, you're an American, and so people will automatically assume that you are totally across.
I have some sort of vested knowledge that comes from, but at the same time, I do keep up. I do try to watch and see what's going on, so I can pass a funny comment or two about it. And I think that's kind of what the show wanted yesterday. So that was cool, and I gave them what they wanted. But when we're talking about serious stuff, obviously the UK politics, because I live here, is going to be a little bit more meaningful to me because it directly affects my life right now.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's something that's going to impact you on a day-to-day basis. So, exactly. Yeah. So were they sort of grilling you on like, so, what do you think about this and that? And then actually you were like,
Taiwan. I was just like, excuse me?
Yeah.
That's a country? Oh, it's not. Oh, sorry. Okay.
But I don't even know what is it. Is it a?
I think you're not. I don't think it is a country. I got lost when another person on the show, a guy named Simon, he had told the whole history of Taiwan.
Oh wow.
From like the 1900s and how Taiwan was formed. And halfway through it, I'm not gonna say I wasn't listening because I was, but I don't think I was able to take everything in.
Was he like he Putined you, like the Tucker Carlson Putin interview was like
he literally did that,
30 minutes, and you're like, okay,
all right, or whatever you gotta say, dude. It was 10 o'clock. It was getting on, and I was just like, okay. And then they went, so what do you think about it, Scott? And I went, what's a Taiwan? I mean, yeah, mind you, probably the most American answer I could get.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. It's, I mean, fair play. You stayed authentic American. I mean, it is. I'm taking the mick, but it's like there's a beauty, there's integrity in being open and honest when you don't know the answer to something. Like I would answer that.
No, I mean, they'd also mentioned, that Trump and the NATO comment that Trump made, and I just kind of went because that came in at the same time as the question about Taiwan, so I just kind of reverted back to that and said,
yeah,
well, it's really rich for Donald Trump to talk about people paying their bills when the man has never paid a contractor or anything in his entire life.
yeah.
So let he should maybe look at his own house before he criticizes NATO countries
Yeah.
not paying their bills.
I couldn't believe that when I heard the audio of him saying, like, that you got to pay your bill. Oh. He was talking, just for the benefit of listeners who may not have seen or heard that, but he was talking about NATO membership and NATO states who don't pay their way and then expect the protection of the United States. And he was like, well, you don't pay your bills, then you don't get protected. In fact, I would encourage Russia. I
would encourage Russia to invade you. And it was a bit like, well, this is you telling on yourself because you don't pay your bills. How many lawyers, how many contractors and people that have worked for him over the years, especially over his presidency, that he didn't pay any of them.
Yeah.
So
Giuliani is a good example of that, isn't it? Like, I think he told Giuliani he was going to earn, X amount, and then now Giuliani's bankrupt. Like,
exactly. So it really goes to show that a lot of what Donald Trump says is really deflection about his own circumstance and who he is.
Yeah.
So it's like he tells on himself every single time. If you sit there and you read through that comment, oh, you got to pay. And it's like,
yeah.
No, you have to pay, Donald Trump. Yeah. You haven't paid. Sorry, Donald Trump, don't you owe someone $85 million right now? Like,
yeah.
The interest is $100,000 a day. Like, talk about paying. Be quiet.
Well, it's like what's that famous quote from Goebbels, like where he says
the Nazi.
Yeah, like where
I don't know very famous quotes from Nazis. If I'm honest.
I mean, I don't sit there revising them.
In this climate, yeah.
No, it's like See, this is going to get quoted out of context now. I'd be like.
Exactly.
A. Thompson said this. I did, but I was anyway. No, he said, accuse the other side of that which you are guilty. Like, it's projection, right? Politically projection.
What he does every time he speaks.
Yeah.
Every time he says something, you can kind of really reel it back to something about him and himself and what he has done or is doing.
Yeah. Let's Okay, so I'm glad you had fun on the other podcast, but also fuck those guys.
You're welcome. You guys should listen to it. But I think
what's it called? We'll check it out.
No, I'm not going to say it yet. I don't want anyone diverting away from this amazing show.
Oh well, okay.
And listening to something else.
Well, we'll give it a plug at the end. I'm sure they're lovely people.
You will. At the end, if anyone's still here.
So, okay, so I'm going to quickly go through some of the big stories from the last week. So on Monday, Rishi Sunak and Gillian Keegan decided they wanted to take phones away from school children. This is just the latest policy idea that they've decided at CCHQ would be a good way to connect with the youth, to attract the youth vote from 16 to 18. They're going to inspire people to turn conservative by nanny state snatching their technology away from them. Good stuff. Tuesday, Kemi Badenoch gets in trouble for lying, or the post office guy is lying. Nobody can quite decide who to believe, Kemi Badenoch or the post office guy. Wednesday, turned out she had also, we don't know if she's lied about the post office guy yet, but let's sprinkle a few more, like a little bit of supporting evidence. On Wednesday, it turned out she had lied about having had trade talks with Canada and engaging with various LGBTQ bodies. Wednesday night, the ceasefire vote in the House of Commons descended into farce. Thursday, protesters broadcast a demand for peace onto Big Ben, and everyone got really mad about it. And now Friday, we're really at the peak now for this week. Nigel Farage, the owner of GB News, Liz Truss, Robert Jenrick, Suella Braverman, Lee Anderson, basically everyone on the British right has completely lost their minds and exist in a permanent state of fantastical Islamic-phobic nightmare delusion. That is the week we've just had, Scott.
Yeah.
What the fuck is going on?
We should start on Monday.
Yeah, okay. So the phones.
Well, it's going to take away the phones from the kids because that's going to really excite the kids to vote conservative. It's hysterical hypocrisy yet again. Accusing labor all the time of nanny state stuff. We're going to teach kids how to brush their teeth. Well, that's just a nanny state, you know. We can't possibly teach children how to brush their teeth, but let's take away their phones.
Yeah. It's wild, isn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy. Again, it's not really solving problems for the wider population of the country. It's not really doing anything for that. Another deflection bullshit policy to throw out the news, more red meat for their supporters, instead of something tangible that might actually make the lives of most people in this country better.
Do you think, genuinely curious to get your view on this, do you think they actually think that sort of policy or that specific policy is going to affect positive change? Or do you think it is as cynical as it appears to be, where it's just like, look, it's not in the manifesto, we can't fix this problem or that problem or this one, but here's a little something that will like gobble up the headlines, it will just get us through another week?
Literally that. I think it's
really
fed to the headlines purposely. Fed to media purposely so that they have a story to run. Again, getting clicks, it's going to upset the people that think it's a stupid idea, and it's going to engage the people that think it's a good idea. It's a win all around. So that's going to sell papers and create clicks on websites. So yeah, I believe maybe I'm a little bit of a cynical person, but the Tories haven't done anything really tangible to help the people of this country in any possible real effective way, and so they don't have, and with that they don't have anything, or they choose not to do the things that would be good, and therefore it's just crap. It's almost as if they're not really governing the country right now.
Yeah,
they're just having a good time. Like they're just chilling.
Like
let's just throw this policy out. What else can we do? Oh well, we could take away fees from estate agents for rented property. No, let's not do that. Let's take away the phones from children. That will really get everybody upset.
It is. I think you're tapping into something really important there. I think it is like they are driving along with just, the foot down on the clutch. They're not in gear. They're not driving. They're just coasting.
They're in cruise control.
Yeah,
they're in cruise control. They're not. They're just letting it all. Like they are trying to. I'm trying to think of the term. They're just trying to long it out. They're trying to.
Oh, there we go.
Amazing.
Somebody was in the chat going like, are we going to hear an A. Thompson burp tonight? There you go, lads. There you go.
They're just trying to drag it out to December when they'll call their election. November when they call their election. They're just trying to drag it out, and they're just throwing out red meat to their base.
I feel like
because you notice that everything seems to be for their base. Did you notice this week, one that you didn't mention this week, though, that there was James Cleverly? I think it was either James Cleverly or it was one of the ministers who had done a tweet celebrating the fact that we're going to have care workers immigrating over, but they can't bring their family.
Yeah, that is James Cleverly, Home Secretary.
A positive, wonderful thing, and it was like, what? And again, red meat, that's going to appeal to Barry and John in the pub drinking a Foster's Top going, well, we got too many immigrants coming into the country anyway. Do you know what I mean? It appeals to those people. That's who they want to keep on side. They don't want them voting for Labor because they would have normally been traditionally Labor voters until they were gaslighted into believing that the Conservatives were the party of the working class. Unbelievable. But there you go. This is where we live.
Yeah. I mean, it's
sorry.
That
was a little bit of a rant. But
no, not at all. I mean, far be it from me. I'm never going to criticize anyone from having a rant. I mean, that's my my USP right there. But I think you're right to pick up on that story, because it did, like, it sort of skated me by. I saw the tweets, I saw the quote tweets, and everyone calling it disgusting. But it just sort of, I guess, in the cloud of everything else that's happened in the last few days,
it's pointless. It's a pointless bullshit thing.
It's so short-termist as well. Like, this is the thing that everyone was like clapping back to James Cleverly about. They were like, you know, you're doing this at the moment to appease, as you say, like the base, throwing red meat to people. And they love the idea of like, yeah, there's too many coming over here, and like more jobs for British people, and I don't want any of their children moving over here too, etc., etc. But what's going to happen in, like, 10 years, 15 years time?
I'm going to go and take care of them.
Yeah, there's that. And we've got this aging population. We've got a labour shortage. People aren't having babies. So our route out of that problem is immigration or socialised childcare. Like,
it's ridiculous. And again, it's something that is going to be very short term. I think when the labor, I believe my opinion is that we will have a Labor government by the end of the year, and they'll just get rid of that sort of ridiculous nonsense. And again, with the phones, is it going to actually happen before this election? Probably not. So it's just a bullshit things for people to get riled up for on a Monday morning, and get their press sort of moving, and like I said, get some clicks going, some papers sold. It's bullshit.
I almost feel like when they do publish a story like that, and I'm sort of in the same camp as you, where I think it is as cynical as it appears, where I think people in CCHQ are literally like, look, we don't have anything. We can't spend money on this. We're not going to spend money on that so close to the election. Like, why would we bother? We haven't got anything to brag about. We haven't got enough time between now and the GE to announce some big, sexy new program that people would actually be interested in. And frankly, we still want to loot a few more billion. We don't want to spend them on, the plebs out there. So what can we do, guys? What can we do? Who's got a good idea? You over there. What's your idea? And it'd be something to do with health over here, something to do with education over there. And on this occasion, somebody put their hand up, Gillian Keegan or one of her supporting staff, and they were like, what about if we said that we were taking bullying in the classroom really seriously, and then we said, we'll take away kids' phones. But here's the genius part. Most of the schools already do it, so we don't really have to do anything, but it makes us look like we're taking action. Amazing.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
And it's like you're almost quoting a scene from The Thick of It. And I think that is truly what we live in right now. A more characterized version of The Thick of It. Like it's almost like the current government is taking the piss out of The Thick of It by being more outrageous than the show itself, and being more stupid and self-serving and ridiculous. What was Tuesday again? What was
Tuesday was Kemi Badenoch. This is a spillover from the weekend.
This woman, I literally can't with her. She
just can't.
She's literally the stupidest fucking person on this planet.
Oh,
but,
no.
She can't even lie right.
Yeah.
She can't even lie well.
Yeah. But you know what? Sunak can't either. He can't do...
No.
And I've been tapping into this. I've been sort of picking up on this idea recently that he's it's like he gives a sermon. Like when he speaks, it's like that sort of faux sincerity. It's
bullshit.
I don't believe that.
It's so plastic.
Yeah.
And rehearsed.
But with her, she's not as bad at the delivery as he is. But you're right. She can't, like, why would you
content,
lie about...
The content is all shit.
But, like, it's the stupidity that gets me. It's like, by all means, lie. Lie and get yourself out of trouble. I'm sure hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people do it every single day. But it's a stupidity factor where it's like, you lied about something that you must have known journalists were just going to go and check up on. Like, oh, I've been negotiating trade deals with Canada. Well, hold that thought, Kemi. Let me just go and check. Oh, what's that? Oh, she's full of shit. We busted you. Like, how did you not think that was going to...
She'll still stand there and go, no, it's true. And that is just playing out of the Boris Johnson sycophantic playbook of those moronic conservatives. And, double down, double down, double down. The LGBTQ, I mean, everyone knows she hasn't visited any. She's actually actively against Stonewall. And has badmouthed them previously because they believe in trans rights. She said, I have visited some LGBTQ charities. Well, they're not really charities; they're fringe groups,
right?
Such as Sex Matters, and which is actually more Sex Matters and LGB Alliance, which has actually got more predominantly straight membership than it does actually a gay one. So it's all bullshit. I mean, the LGB Alliance literally have an office on 55 Tufton Street.
I was just about to say they're one of the Tufton lot, yeah.
And it's bullshit. They don't have any. I mean, I'm talking with authority on this because I am a member of the LGBTQ plus community. I can tell you now that the majority of LGBTQ plus AI 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 do not agree with the LGB Alliance.
Yeah.
Okay. And a very vocal minority of gay people and an extremely minority of trans people might affiliate themselves with something like that. But at the end of the day, on a whole, they are it's kind of like it's kind of I guess this is the Nazis, right? It would literally be like a bunch like in World War II, you got the Nazi Party, and then all of a sudden, right, there's this little fringe group called the Amatzis.
Right.
And we're Americans who believe that we should be Nazis too. And it's like, no, they don't. They want to kill the Nazis, really. They want to assimilate the Nazis.
Yeah.
But it's almost as if it's an infiltration into the wider LGBTQ plus community to try to disrupt any unity because they don't like trans people.
So just to sort of come back a little bit.
By the way, is one of the biggest transphobes, and a major reason for my dislike of her. She's said very ignorant and stupid things. Same word. About trans people that are just unacceptable.
Yeah.
But yes, sorry to interrupt.
So no, I was just going to say, so just a couple of things there. So firstly, yes, on Kemi Badenoch, I think it's really telling that they made her equalities minister, didn't they? This was like,
oh my God, that just angered me so much.
A year and a half ago, like before she went, was it immediately after she did her first leadership bid? Because nobody knew who the fuck she was before that. Then she went for the leadership and people were like, oh, who is this? And then since then, she's got more and more high profile and been rewarded for it with more and more high profile jobs. But just to have somebody like that in the equalities role is just like laughable. And that's where all of this pressure has come from. Like, who did you actually meet with? Did you ever meet with any? And it's such a testament to how lax and laid back and laissez-faire the Conservatives are when they're in government, because it's like, oh yeah, we should make Kemi equalities. Should we give equalities to Kemi? That'll piss everyone off, won't it? It's like she's never going to attend any meetings or meet with anyone from those industries.
to show their lack of empathy for any sort of diversity and equality, it's tagged on to her business secretary role.
Yeah.
So it's not a full. It used to be a minister that was the minister of equality, right?
Yeah.
They think so lowly of that it could just be some little tag on to the business secretary's role because she's not going to have to do a lot of work, is she? You
No.
know what I mean?
Easiest
Because they
job in the
don't want
world.
to do any work. The conservatives um, have no ambition to create any sort of equality because they would have done it already if they wanted to.
Yeah.
So it was they think of that role so lowly that they gave it as a tag on.
Mm. And then
She's done absolutely nothing.
the, the
She's actually fought against measures of trying to create equality within the diversity of the country that we live in. So
yeah. The other point that you raised about the think tanks, about Tufton Street, and it being sort of like the opposite of what you would actually think, like that's exactly it. And like you can't really emphasize that enough about how weird and inverted that whole ecosystem is, where
yes,
you have like the LGBT
alliance
alliance, who are actually funded by sort of
fighting against the
Christian
LGBT.
right American types who really don't like gay people. Like there's that.
Right.
And then you've got the Taxpayers Alliance. Who do you think is like, are they actually interested in what we spend our tax money on and getting us a better deal? Or are they actually
No,
funded by
they're
people who
worried
really
about
don't want to pay tax?
exactly.
Or
So
what's the environmental one as well? And it's like, actually, it's all funded by big oil and like fracking organizations.
I know, yeah.
It's
I
like,
can't
I
remember
almost
the name of it.
admire it, Scott. Like, it's so ballsy. It's like,
It's so blatant. It's so in our faces, and
yeah,
when you try to, but the thing is, it's kind of like when we talk about think tanks and we talk about pressure groups and things like that. You're really starting to dig deep into the whole political world.
yeah,
Average Joe Schmo doesn't give a shit about any of that.
no,
They just want to go to the food shop and be able to afford their groceries, right? So when you sit there and say, "Wow, there's this whole taxpayers alliance that are trying to get the wealthy to pay less tax," they just, I think the average person who's not as politically engaged is just going to go, "Well,
yeah, yeah. I think, like, I mean, I've been saying this for years now. I'm just like,
yeah,
you should never underestimate how little people care for most, like, people like us. We like drink in the news every single day. Like,
we live
I'm a
for it."
news junkie. I'm like, yeah. But most people just walk past the 24-hour garage. They scan the headlines, or a push notification comes up their phone. They're like, "Oh, Gary Lineker's in trouble again," and then that's it. That's the end of their news intake for the
That's all
week.
they care about because they have lives and they
Yeah,
have things that they have going on in their life. And but it's unfortunate because the things that they probably complain about that are not positive in their lives could be fixed if they became more politically engaged.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's like connecting the dots in a way, isn't it? It's like
Yeah,
they
but
want their
you know,
groceries to be cheap, but they don't understand that the reason that the groceries are getting more expensive is because the energy bills weren't kept down,
yeah,
energy companies weren't nationalized because of Tory ideology, and now
yes.
the cost of running all of these businesses is doubled or tripled in the energy bill, and that money then gets passed on, or the cost of that gets passed on.
To billionaires, and and it goes to show. But when you try to explain that to people, you come across as arrogant. You come across as, oh, I guess I maybe come across as arrogant. I would think
I've
I'm
always thought so.
insulting
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
huh? You know what I'm saying? You come across no, you
Don't-
come across as not you, but some people who are more politically engaged become come across as boorish and
yeah.
yeah, and
I
arrogant.
always
And
imagine that when, if I talk to friends and the subject of politics comes up and then I go off on like a 15 or 20-minute rant and then I
they just
leave,
thrown out.
I imagine that they talk amongst each other afterwards and go like,
What the
I
fuck was he
like
on
him,
about?
yeah, but like, oh, when he goes off on his politics, oh god,
I
like,
can't be bothered. Yeah,
yeah.
I've literally heard people say those things to me.
Oh, really? What?
Yeah,
To
of
you,
course.
about you?
No, not about me. I'm sure it probably happened about
Yeah.
me, but more of it being said to me. Like a friend of mine, like, oh, like just as. you wouldn't know that someone has said that to you, Aid, unless someone had said that to you before.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Right?
yeah,
So that's what I'm saying. It's like we know those conversations happen because I've been part of that conversation. But this is our geekery, right? Um, but it's hard to get people engaged unless there's a big, huge headline about it, a big
yeah.
kerfuffle, just like there was on Wednesday.
When it turned out that she'd lied about the trade talks with Canada.
No, no,
Or
well, no, I'm talking about going further and it being Opposition Day, and it
oh
all
yes,
went to shit.
yeah, yeah.
Oh
So,
my
like, can you
god!
can you explain this to me in a sort of articulate, concise way? Because I did a TikTok like paper review thing about it the next day, and I was like, I don't really know if I'm fully across this. Like, what happened? Why it didn't work out? Why the SNP is so angry about it? Like,
Okay.
explain it to me like I'm five.
Okay, so the government put forward amendments and bills normally uh, as part of governing our country, but sometimes the political parties that are not in government get specific days to be able to do that too. Wednesday was the day for the Scottish National Party to put forward, bills or amendments, and they wanted to put forward a vote to uh, call for a immediate ceasefire within the conflict between Israel and Palestine. So the Labour Party had come up with a bill as well,
Mm.
and the Conservatives came up with a bill. The Labour Party bill was pretty much exactly the same as the Scottish National Party, except for the Scottish National Party bill did say that Israel were committing war crimes. And Labour felt they couldn't say that because at some point, Keir Starmer will possibly be the prime minister and we'll have to deal with Israel, right?
Right.
So that's that's the difference between those two. Then the difference between the conservative and those two was the conservatives saying they want a momentary pause to uh, uh, to give humanitarian aid to the civilians of Palestine. So the Scottish National Party's amendment was picked up by the Speaker,
Yeah.
as it would be. It's their day of Opposition Day, it's called. And the Conservatives chosen, the Speaker had chosen the Conservatives' bill to debate. However, the within the country at the moment, there are a lot of protests happening in regards to this conflict.
Mm.
Um, and the loudest being people who are pro Palestine or who are against just what is becoming to be the massacre of the Palestinian people when you consider that the attack that caused this latest infraction of war is probably not the best word for it. That's not what I meant. What I mean, this latest bout of war between the two was that 1,000 people were killed by Hamas attack, and in retaliation, Israel has killed probably about 30,000 people.
Mm.
So so people are upset that the Palestinians are being killed way more out of proportion than the Israeli people were killed in the original attack that started the flare up in the first place. So this is now going to people's homes, to MPs' homes. Like I think Tobias Elwood's home was sieged by protesters outside with Free Palestine, Stop War, called for a ceasefire, and many other MPs are receiving threats, death threats, abuse from
Mm.
constituents who are, very much saying we need to stop this killing. So the speaker thought it would be a very good idea to allow everybody to have their say. And he also chose the labor amendment to be debated.
Right.
Well, that to the Conservatives and the Scottish National Party looked like favoritism, as if someone had spoken to the Speaker to also include the labor bill into, like, because the whole point really was, it was all a bit of a political game,
Right.
because the SNP were trying to show up the Labor Party.
Right. So the let me just back up a sec. So the SNP bill says that it's a war crime, or they wanted it debated that it was a war crime. Yeah. And they wanted to put that forward so that then, like, 30 MPs from Labour would be like, yeah, it is a war crime, but then the other Labour MPs would be like, no, it isn't, and then it splits the Labour Party. Is that right?
Exactly that.
Okay, so why is it favouritism if the Speaker selects the Labour?
Because it's not Labour's opposition day.
Right, okay.
It's the SNPs.
Okay, and this is huge. Is this really abnormal that they would select?
Apparently, people claimed that there was no precedent for this, but others had claimed that there had been precedent for this before.
Right.
The complaint was that this went against convention. This was a disrespect to the Scottish National Party. And the Tories just jumped on that as well, because anything to stick it to Labour. Labour are kind of all sitting there going,
yeah,
what's there were accusations. So the MPs can't, so the parties can't get angry at Labour because they've got no proof that Labour has influenced the Speaker or anything, only mere accusation and suggestion, rumor. So they've taken it out on the Speaker himself.
Right.
They can't punch the Labour MPs, but they're punching the Speaker instead. So it's almost as if the SNP and the Tories, two very opposing parties, have ganged up together because the SNP didn't get the chance to make Labour look stupid.
Right. Okay. I mean, it does, it has worked out very well for Labour in the sense that they've avoided being split. So I can understand
their amendment went through.
Say again, sir?
And their amendment went through.
Right.
Because there was a walkout.
Okay.
The head of the SNP made his members walk out, and the Tories walked out. And then they had a vote, and then the Labour Party just pushed it through, and that was the end of that. Then the Tories got very upset because, but the Speaker had to come out and apologize for what he did. Right? This whole apology of how it turned out. I don't think he apologized for what he did, but more apologized for how everybody else is, kind of reacted. Like, he was sorry. He thought he was giving everybody a chance to talk because everybody has had some form of abuse, and threats, and all sorts. So he thought if everybody had a chance to sort of say that they wanted a ceasefire, maybe that would calm down.
I mean, there's an element. I know these are dark times, and this is obviously a very serious subject, but there is some comedic mileage to be taken out of the fact that he's decided this course of action to avoid hostility. Like, everyone's getting abused too much, and he ends up going down this court. And then how does it end? With the end of the day, him standing there and everyone going like, "You fucking idiot!"
Him getting the most abuse from the MPs themselves. And
he's probably had death threats.
Yeah. So it became the biggest exercise of self-service.
Yeah.
Right. By the SNP and the Tories, who then showed up later and said, "Well, we didn't get a chance to vote, but you walked out, so you didn't get a chance to vote." Or, I didn't get, MPs stood up and said, "I didn't get a chance to say that I wanted a ceasefire."
Yeah.
Because they're trying to show their constituents, the ones that were threatening the shit out of them, that they too want a ceasefire. They wanted back a ceasefire. So it all really just, it all became about convention, the offense that the SNP took, the Tories backing them up, and the self-service of what their interests are to their constituents, rather than a vote to
Yeah.
call for a ceasefire, which, to put a point on the end of this 5-year-old explanation,
Yeah.
wouldn't have done anything anyway.
Yeah. I mean,
So even if the SMP amendment went through and everybody in the House voted for it, including the Prime Minister, it would have changed and still hasn't changed anything at all.
yeah.
The war is still happening. Israel has even said now that, you know, um, I don't care. I'm going to bomb them all.
Yeah.
You know, so it was a wasted day of parliamentary work that, again, we could have had things for our country spoken about, things that more domestic problems, but also things to actually help people. This isn't all this was doing was making sure that the MPs could have a bit more of a quiet life
I
because
guess
they're getting so much shit from their constituents.
you could make a case that I hear what you're saying about like the utility of it, like what is it actually going to achieve? And I've spent half the week ranting on paper reviews about, if Keir Starmer stands up and says like, I want there to be a ceasefire, nobody's going to be listening to the UK leader of the opposition. Netanyahu may know who Keir Starmer is. He also might not. So
that itself is a domestic issue.
Yeah,
it is. He needs to. Again, he's doing this little juggling act, which I am 50-50 on myself that he's doing it. I don't like it that he's trying to juggle the sort of moderatories with the left, so he can win the majority and gain power. But every time he just seems to piss off the left each time, which is really upsetting. Again, but this time Labor just put the amendment forward. That's all they did. And they had the right to do that.
I suppose
they just didn't think it was going to be chosen, but the speaker chose them all. So
I suppose the way this should work is that the SNP, Labour, should be in reasonably frequent communication with each other, and they should be in a position where they say, like, look, you want a ceasefire, we want a ceasefire. What about if you put forward that bill, then we will support it, and if you change this bit, but if you do that, then we won't support. Like, there should be some sort of line of communication there where they're negotiating on behalf of their various factions and the people that they claim to represent. Now, if they don't do that, and they start doing the party politics division, and we put forward a bill and we want it to be our bill with our SNP branding on it, and your one doesn't go far enough, so we're going to go like, well, then you're in a situation where it has become tribal and it has become childish, and now we are where we are, where people are storming out, going like, well, they selected their bill, we wanted it to be our bill. It's like, would you guys grow the fuck up? Like,
yeah, I'm taking my toys and we're going home.
Yeah.
And should we say ski guys?
Yeah.
and that was very much that. It took a really, really, like, it took focus off an incredibly important issue that many people in this country are incredibly passionate about. And that is the killing of women and children on a mass scale, which is happening at the moment. There's no denying it. That's what's happening, right? But at the same time, just because Parliament said we want a ceasefire, right, doesn't mean it's actually going to happen.
No.
So really, at the end of the day, what was it all for?
Yeah. I mean, I was just going to say, like,
I thought it was disgraceful.
You could make a case that there is some utility in holding a vote like that because there are
because it gets shown on the news, but the mother trying to feed their children in Palestine doesn't give a fuck.
No, but I was thinking, like, so let's say there's 10,000 families in London who have like a direct relative who is over there at the moment, starving, or they have been maimed, or they can't get hospital treatment or something like that. You would want to see some sort of representation at the parliamentary level that reflected the trauma that you were going through and the worry that you were going through. So even if it's useless geopolitically, politically, parliamentarily speaking, it's a good thing.
A self-service thing where we're in our country going, well, we got a lot of people who are pissed off. So maybe
Yeah.
if we do put this vote forward, that will calm them down a little bit. It
Yeah.
won't. People will still go out and protest because at the end of the day, even if we called for a ceasefire, doesn't mean that Netanyahu is going to sit there and go, oh, well, Britain wants to. Oh, okay. Guys, Britain wants us to stop. So we're going to stop now.
Britain's called us into the headmaster's office.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
it's all over.
Britain all got together. All their MPs got together and said, you know what? We want you to stop bombing Palestine. So you know what we're going to do, guys? We're going to stop bombing. He's not going to say that.
It's real. Do you know what it is? It's we are the world energy. It's like sort of, you know, a group of like really nice Westerners over there. They've all said that it needs to stop now. So what are we going to do? Well, I don't know, Scott. Are they singing? Yeah, they're singing. Oh, well, we better rein it in then. Like,
we are the world. We are the children. And I grew up with that song. I had to sing it in school.
For a second there, I thought you were going to say, and I grew up as one of the a child. I was going to say, yeah, probably.
I was in Ethiopia. No,
I was just saying that you were a child. You were a child once, and now you're a man.
No, but when I was growing up, that was massive in America.
Yeah,
it was absolutely enormous. So, So I watched the documentary on it, which was quite actually for me, it was quite interesting because I was just a kid who had a 7-inch record with all these people on the cover of it, and a video that showed 3 minutes of a all night long recording session. So it was actually really interesting.
How weird and depressing is it now? And you know, obviously that's the vibe of this show is to take positivity and optimism and then just bring it right back down to earth. So
the toilet.
Yeah, like if you think about songs like We Are the World, it's We Are the World, isn't it?
Yeah,
We Are the World. Yeah. Then and Band-Aid, all of these big charity songs.
Christmas, yeah.
Right? Back in the day. And the reason that they did those in that medium was because records were selling a big hit, an international hit, like 5 million copies, 10 million copies. That bring in some serious wedge. And now
no song like that will ever do that again.
No.
It doesn't work like that.
Even if you had a song on heavy rotation at like Capitol, Radio 1, WNEW or whatever in New York, and then like LA and stuff, even if it was like being like, it's just going to get streamed. And then Spotify is just going to go like,
But it was incredibly performative. It was these very rich, very successful people all coming together going, we need to raise money. How about you look at your bank account at your millions and millions and millions of pounds and maybe contribute some of that. Your time isn't as valuable as what you have in your assets.
Yeah.
So so it's a very bizarre phenomenon, I think, when that was with the charity again, like even now the modern charity single, the Baby Daddy or whatever the fuck his name is, he became a multi-millionaire out of that. How does someone that raises money for charity become a multi-millionaire? How does that happen?
Oh, that's a big question, because you do get people who they either run like a not-for-profit and then somehow they benefit handsomely out of it. So there's that. Then there's also like political figures.
That sounds like profit.
Yeah.
But there's contribution is a profit.
But there's like financial fuckeries going on, like where they'll have like
what happened to Tom Moore,
Yeah, well,
his family just took that money and ran.
But that's
clearly,
like
they went and built pools.
Yeah, a little sauna or something in the back garden, wasn't it?
Absolutely ridiculous.
But that's like a really exaggerated, quite simplistic example. Like you actually get people who run like a not-for-profit, and then they will have sort of corporate properties that they then live in for free.
Yeah.
Like, and it's a benefit, but it's never taxed. So there's stuff like that, and then they'll funnel like the not-for-profit money will be like sent out to like shell companies, and then they draw down a salary because that's only fair. But actually, the salary's hugely lucrative.
Not going to the cause, is it?
Yeah.
Only the money that's raised by the general public goes to the cause.
Yeah.
I worked for a massive charity for a little while. It was only a few weeks, but I thought it was very bizarre how they had a very huge office in North London, right? In a probably very expensive building, with all this staff there, and it was like
how much is this costing to
and
run?
then people would be like, well, we got to be careful with the money because we're a charity, and it was a bit like, you are all employed at a certain level and a certain amount of money.
You're wearing a Rolex. What the fuck are you talking about? You're literally sat in an Aston Martin telling me this.
Why is this issue still an issue? Perhaps if you got rid of this office for a year and put that money towards your cause, it might make a difference.
So to some extent, I understand that they do like when
it's the cynical in me again. Sorry,
but like when you hear these, admittedly like quite tabloid stories come out and they say like, did you know like the CEO of like Save the Children or the CEO of RSPCA or something is on like £200,000 a year? I'm always like, it's like fine, because you actually need somebody. You need to poach somebody from industry who has experience of running a multinational.
Organization
with experience in like financial management and commercial and doing deals and hiring that amount of people.
That is the punching down of the media narrative again. Let's look at the guy who's earning £200,000 working for a charity, but not the fucker that's earning 7-8 million by running a water company. We all need. So what's that about? No one's looking at him. No one's asking questions about why he's earning so much money. We're worried about the person who's earning £200,000. I don't know if you listen to James O'Brien. I do. And he had this wonderful phone call this week, which was incredible. This woman who was upset. She works hard. She bought her house. She might lose her house now. I think this is a story you are aware of yourself. And she looks at her disabled sister and wonders why she gets everything for free. And James had to turn around and say, but it's funny, why are you blaming the girl that has nothing, who's disabled, who doesn't have the same life as you in any way, right? Getting some benefit, when the prime minister is worth billions of pounds. You're looking at her, not the person at the top of the food chain.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. Let's look at the £200,000 CEO and not the £6 million CEO.
Or you could even pan out from that again. You could say like, okay, you're angry that somebody is in a charity position earning £200,000. Well, you know what? If the state took care of whatever that problem is that charity is trying to solve,
be a charity. It wouldn't exist. That job wouldn't exist.
Yes, exactly. Scott,
so go figure it.
We've been rabbiting on, man, for an hour. I've got to go. We're going to wrap it up.
Are we going to get to Thursday or Friday?
Oh, fucking no. What was Thursday? Thursday was the protesters on beaming it onto Big Ben.
Oh, this is the rivers to the river and the sea, which is now considered to be an anti-Semitic slogan, which is why people have gotten very upset. That was projected onto Big Ben.
That's right.
And people are very upset. People such as Nick Ferrari and the usual sort of suspects in the media. But
can I just say,
it's another thing that is turned into anti-Semitic. But then when Netanyahu says the same thing about destroying Palestine, that's just not. No one says anything about that.
I don't think it's anti-Semitic though.
I don't think it's anti-Semitic to point that out. That's just reality.
Like to me, I feel like when I hear this phrase or hear of this phrase, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Is that right? Or Gaza will be free? I can't remember now. To me, I feel like if you have an issue with that, then free up the area that has turned into, over the few decades, as I understand it, it's turned into a sort of big open air prison. Like that's the point. That's the crux of it. If you don't like will be free, or from this part to that part will be free, I feel like by just blanket calling it anti-Semitic, to me, that feels simplistic, reductive. But I'm not Jewish, so I don't know.
It's an anti-Israel sentiment.
But it, like, I mean, I'd have to look at a map, like, to see where this river goes to this sea.
I do too, because I don't really understand where the river and the sea are. I'm thinking, is it the River Nile and the Dead Sea? Like, I don't know. You know what
I'm completely advertising my own ignorance here. Like, I don't think it's anti-Semitic, and I blah, 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 and then I'm like, but truly, I don't know what it actually means.
Where's the river? Where's the sea?
Yeah.
So I don't think I'm being anti-Semitic. This is why I don't really talk about this particular subject very often, anyway, with anybody.
Yeah.
Because I am ignorant, and I know I need to do more work on it. But I'm not stupid. I see what's going on.
Well, also
it's children being killed. It's fucking terrible,
Yeah.
And that needs to stop.
But it's also like, if it's an area that you're not completely across, like, knowledge-wise, then that's one thing. But also, if it's an area, like, I obviously am quite satirical with a lot of the stuff that I do, and I'd like to think, occasionally I nail an all right point sensibly. But for the most part, I kind of want to take the piss out of stuff, and there's nothing particularly funny about that whole situation. It's just sad,
Yeah. It's a sad situation, and also I don't speak on it because of my lack of knowledge. I might inadvertently be offensive in a way that I would never have intended to be offensive.
Yeah,
whether that be anti-Semitic or the other way around. So I'd rather sort of like keep my head down, read what I can read, see what I can see, take in the information before I make any sort of real conversation about that. So when you brought it up earlier, I was a bit like, oh, do we have to talk about that?
Well, I'm just going to round off quickly, because I do think it's interesting that, so Thursday was the thing onto Big Ben, and that was, I mean, I think there's a debate there as to whether or not that's anti-Semitic. There's some ambiguity to it that I think foments discussion, right? Now, just bank that for a second, and then get to Friday, where you've got Farage, Truss, Jenrick, Suella, Leanderthal, all of these people talking about, like, there's going to be a Muslim Islamist fundamentalist party in Westminster. There's going to be what was it? The tweets that the guy from GB News was sharing or liking was like, is it about Islamist invasions and like
this is the funny thing.
It's like, this is anti-Semitic, but it's vague. But that is clearly Islamophobic. But that's fine.
The very people who scream the most when it comes into the political sphere of the Tories, and always accusing the Labour Party, the media always accusing the Labour Party of anti-Semitism. I'm not saying there isn't any anti-Semitism there. I'm just saying that that's where the focus is. And I was saying this the other day, how many Tories are Islamophobic? Most, most, and usually are not very quiet about it.
Yeah.
But it seems that that's okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because racism.
Yeah. Like the Suella article this morning in
the
tabloid.
Different color skin, they're from different culture.
Yeah.
That's the end of that, That's the
insanity, though, isn't it? It's like the disconnect between those two things is like, this might be anti-Semitic, so let's talk about it for weeks, throw it at blah, blah, blah. Yeah, and then this is clearly Islamophobic, but it's fine. Like, we'll just let it slide. It's okay. We're just saying what everyone down the pub says.
Yeah, but this is the media keeping its, keeping their Tories protected.
Yeah. Right, listen, Scott, man, we've got to wrap up. Thank you so much to everybody in the live chat. Quick shout outs to Tracy Birch, Blue Badger, Jez Hunt.
We didn't pay any attention to the chat.
I did. I've been keeping an eye on it, but
but
I didn't see any. I didn't see any super chats, and we were in mid flow the whole time. We were both we're both talkers, Scott.
This has been a lot of fun, and I've been able to kind of get my frustration on politics off my chest in a very awesome fashion this evening. So thank you very much for having me on your show.
Well, you're very welcome. Very welcome indeed. I'll do a quick readout of the Patreons. We've got a couple of new ones over the last couple of weeks, and a YouTube community member who I'm Very sorry, I've not managed to get the name out of YouTube yet, but I will do. I'll update you on the list of backers next week when I go through them. So, big shout-outs to Kerry, Rachel Harris, Bowman, Kai, Christy, David Voice, Martin Maracas, Mojo Sabian, Peter Del Monte, Pingu, Stewart, T-Rex in a top hat, Aaron Smith, Alex Suter, Jeff McGow, MJ Nichols, Ned Berg, Sarah Setters, Simon Flack, Aid, Margaret Abogai, Encore une fois, Cycletricity, Christine Cash, and Gareth Jennings. Thank you so much, guys, for your ongoing support. If you've not why are you laughing, man? Whose name are you laughing at?
Someone called themselves Encore une fois.
Yeah.
Encore
I used to say before I went through the names, I used to be like, some of these names might not be their real names, because it was like, you know, T-Rex is another guy in there. And and now so many of them are obviously not their real names. I'm like, I don't even need to say it. Like, nobody's born Cycletricity.
It's funny how, you know, hosts like yourself who promise to shout out the Patreons, and they purposely do it because they know they're that guy who's contributed under the name Encore une fois.
Yeah,
knows that's him.
Yes.
So he knows he's gonna get called out.
Yeah.
He knows he's like, that's me, mate, right?
Yeah. Like, if you've got a unique name, yeah, fair play.
Yeah,
I mean,
when you then go through the list and you say Aid, and I was like, did you contribute yourself so you could say your name again?
No. And you know what's interesting about Aid is so he jumped on the Patreon first, and then I think he jumped onto the YouTube community instead. It was a switch around, and so I got talking to him, and I thought from the spelling of his name, ADE, because I've worked with people called ADE before, and it's usually like a Nigerian or Nigerian descendant person, like Addy.
It's more Addy rather than A.
Yeah, and I used to spell my name like that. So I would be like, are you Addy or like Aid? And 100% of the time before this, it's always been like, oh no, I'm Addy. But this guy is Aid. He's an Aid like me. So there's more than one of me now. Anyway, listen, thank you so much to all the Patreon backers, and again to my guest tonight, Scott Williams. Go and give him a follow. I shall put his details into the description.
I'm on TikTok,
after this.
TJ1976. If you want to watch my ridiculous ramblings on there, I am in a lull with posting right now, but we're gonna go to the mojo back.
Cool, man. Cool. Well, we'll look forward to it, and yeah, just send me a link once you are up and live, and you're posting a bit more, and I'll share it around.
It's TGA1976 on TikTok. Yeah.
There you go. There you go, guys. Right, I'm going to be on Labour Social soon. Are you, Scott?
I probably am, actually. I'm going to see if I can get this router working first.
Okay, all right. Until next time, guys, take care. Keep it strictly #Bimpfluencer and strictly #Booge. I'm out this motherfucker.